Hey, team players, and welcome live as we're in the middle of doing a weekly winners here on Underdog, addressing the number one thing about what holds people back on weekly winners is flat out either having replicated teams or not taking players with high enough values.
And so, Joe, we thought we were on the air.
Yeah.
But apparently not. We're in the 12th hole.
Mm-hmm.
And, what we were saying when we were going through and talking about our teams is that when we look at weekly winners, we're looking to win 1 week. We're looking to win 2 weeks. We're looking to win 3 weeks. And we're going off against 150,000 other entries.
200,000 entries.
And when you look at it, you want to have variation. You want to have, and people talk about, investing your portfolio in a couple different teams. Well, maybe you can only make one team. Maybe you can only make a couple of teams. You don't have the type of money that certain people have that they could put out 500 teams or 150 teams.
So you need to go extra sharp on the peaks.
You need to go big on the peaks. And we were just talking about a guy like Zay Flowers. You're going to see in Best Ball Mania, Zay Flowers is going to go in the top 4 rounds. But Zay Flowers doesn't deviate too much from his average of 10.
That's right.
And he averaged 10 points last year. And, he did have a couple of highs, but they weren't enough to get you in that top 5 of wide receivers on the year. You can see what we did in the 12th pick here is that we went something that doesn't really happen. And we talked about this is that Devin Achane and Deebo Samuel are not usually a pair of players that you get together.
Nope.
They are 2 players that spike in our rankings. They spike as the 2nd and 4th highest player in our rankings.
Yep.
Tua right there. That's an interesting pick. They spike really high in our rankings. And when we look at these 2 players, they're not going to be on a lot of teams together. They're definitely not going to be on a team with Lamar Jackson.
No, certainly not.
So we have 3 players who have proven that they can be number 1 in any given week.
Absolutely.
For their team. And so you look at it, Zay Flowers just went there. And this person's building a team. They've got a whole lot of wide receivers, but maybe not a lot of
There's not a lot of fluctuation there. So being a run-of-the-mill guy in weekly winners just means that all right, you finish, in the middle of the pack at 100,000. There's no juice in there. There's no value in it. When you're playing weekly winners, it's all about the spikes, and you have to recognize that at least 2/3 of the total populace is irrelevant once you look at it like that. So as we come up, we're leaning to go at Kittle. Kittle is one of our highest players in terms of peak potential. We're definitely going to be taking Kittle if he's still there. Another guy that I like, especially with this build, giving away of Achane, is Mostert. The Miami running game will go off. I'm basically ensuring I'm going to get a part of it every week. There goes Kittle, though. So,
all right, so let's look at the tight ends here. I don't think there's another one we want here. Kyle Pitts definitely profiles as a guy that could spike really high. I think that
Ingram is as a volume guy, but
it's definitely scarier when you can't get one of those guys there. When we look at these rankings, Joe, we do have.
Are you okay with me taking Mostert here?
I think it's a little high.
Well, we're at the turns. We don't have the luxury.
I think it's a little high.
So if I want to take those 2 that are in the queue, Bob.
I'm okay with Mostert. I'm okay
because we're not going to get the other one back.
Yeah.
And we so Mostert is essentially an insurance policy.
I just want to check one player here. I really would want to take a guy like T. Higgins, but I don't know how much positional value he'll have. If Justin Herbert is alive and playing well, Ladd McConkey's going to soak up a lot.
Yeah,
he did miss practice yesterday, but I think it's worth it. And I can tell you,
we have McConkey as a top 5 spike guy.
I can tell you, nobody's going to have this team.
Oh, no one has this team. I still think we're going to be able to get Herbert late, given the fact that people are scared of it now.
And that's fine.
I love that stat.
Brock Purdy in the 8th round for us at the turn isn't going to be that bad. And then
I love Purdy there.
When we look at tight ends with spike potential, you're looking at a guy like Cole Kmet, probably.
I want to look at these 2.
Probably in the 8th or the 9th round here. I'm not, maybe a Rishi Rice play would have been pretty nice because Rishi Rice could soak up a lot and get a decent amount of targets.
He also could miss half the season, though.
He could miss half the season, but again, we're looking for 1-2 weeks.
That part's true. That's the difference between, we should pause on that. That's the difference between him and Hawkinson. Rishi Rice, if he gets suspended, still comes back at full strength. There's no guarantee the Hawk ever hits full strength all year. So the Hawk is someone we don't look at in weekly leagues. In a best ball mania where you're trying to hit the big money at the end where you need to win in week 17 to get paid, there's value there. But when we look at this and say, hey, right now, not so much so.
Yeah, and I'm currently just kind of scrolling.
Yeah.
Guys, when we look at the running backs available, so, we might get blasted for taking Raheem Mostert as our third running back, but
it's all about spike week.
Looking at this season, we have now the running backs left available, which most people will consider. We have Ramondre Stevenson, Zamir White, James Conner, David Montgomery. All question marks, Aaron Jones as well, all question marks to the situation. People are talking up Zach Charbonnet like he's going to take over for Kenny Walker. David Montgomery, people are like, well, what's he going to do? Well, we have him as the hammer here. Rishi Rice went to that guy with all the wide receivers. And you look at also what's the situation. And we've said this before with Miami. Even if Mostert regresses, he's most likely going to regress to 8 touchdowns or so.
Mm-hmm.
And he has shown that if Miami is moving the ball, he's going to be one of those players that is going to be in the end zone.
A garbage time knockout. And the other thing that needs to be shown, and we've brought the statistic time and time again, 9 times out of 10, the weekly winner, the flex spot is a running back. So it's not the blow-off position that you can use in the same way in other positions, or in other formats, rather. In your redraft league doing hero, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't really work that way when we're talking about the weekly winners, though. So that's another thing to keep into mind when we're going into making these picks.
So
there's a lot of value here, Bob, I'm seeing.
If he's still here
when
we get him,
just tell me.
I would have loved Christian Watson there. I'm not. Oh, okay.
Watson just went.
Yeah. I'm willing. Okay, and here's something crazy to think about. I know you don't like him a lot.
Well, where's his spike at?
And profiling him is fairly complicated to think about. But when we were talking about target share and talking about the Detroit Lions, we didn't talk about Jameson Williams.
It's still too early for that.
Jameson Williams, I'm just saying, Jameson Williams is one of those players. I like Keon Coleman here as well. If Keon Coleman is here,
see, but the thing is, you're going back to your ADP mindset.
No.
Bob. We need to do best board. Who are our spike guys?
I'm not going ADP here. What I'm saying to you is a guy like Keon Coleman is one of our higher spike guys.
Where do we have him at?
We have him at 19. And
that's not bad. So 19 overall.
Yeah, he's much higher in terms of potential spike week than the player you've got locked in. So here's what I'd like to do.
So you want to go Coleman?
I'd like to go Coleman, and then I'd like to probably go Zach Moss here.
I'm totally good with that. So where do we have Zach Moss in terms of spike weeks?
Put him on. In terms of potential spike weeks here, Zach Moss is ranked as our 7th best running back.
Love
potential. It. I mean, you're looking at if he plays the whole season, and Chase Brown is definitely going to be a part of that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If he plays the whole season, you could potentially get a player that's going to spike 20, maybe 25 points behind a pretty decent enough offensive line.
And a great running or a great passing attack.
A great passing attack if Burrow comes back fully healthy. And so we've secured ourselves 4 running backs who have questionable volume, right? We're not saying that these guys...
we have the entire Miami running back room. We have volume from Miami.
We're not saying that these guys are going to have like a huge amount of volume, but what we do know is that if they play, and when they play,
they go off.
They're going to go off. And we can almost say without a shadow of a doubt that nobody's built 2 rookie wide receivers on their teams with this stretch of running backs yes, there's a lot of injury concern on this team.
Sure.
But we are hoping and planning on winning 1 week.
Yeah, that's all we want. We want one spike golden moment.
1 week will give us 20 grand.
That's it.
1 week.
This is not about having the average.
40. So we don't care. We really don't care if a player is average good.
Yeah.
Like Amon-Ra. If they're a player like James Conner that are always consistent producers. While those definitely have benefits, and we might take a look at one.
We don't have a tight end yet, do we?
9-10. We're going to look at Cole Kmet in the next couple of rounds here. I'm not nervous about this situation because also a guy like Jelani Woods is someone who projects fairly well later in the rounds as well.
And I definitely do want to throw Isaiah Likely on this team on a back end tight end. I just don't want to miss a starter. So what do you think about this coming around the horn? Looking at Purdy to stack him up with Debo.
If you didn't watch the beginning, we also took Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, we have Lamar Jackson. You want to make stacks as much as possible.
Now, the danger about Brock Purdy is volume. That they don't really have a high volume, but he did rank as one of the higher quarterbacks.
Going to be one of the 3 highest scoring offenses in the league, and he does throw the ball to McCaffrey too.
When we look at where does he rank in terms of quarterback play, he's the 11th best spike week potential of our quarterbacks.
Well, who else do we have higher spike week that maybe we pair it with?
So nobody that's really on the board right now.
Fair enough.
That we have. Caleb Williams is a guy that potentially could spike, but he's
so who's a bigger spike for us, Jacoby Myers or Cooks?
Cooks.
All right. So here's why I love Cooks so much. A, he scores touchdowns himself. He's the number 2 on a very pass heavy team. But imagine a world where CeeDee Lamb goes down. Dallas has no other offensive weapon aside from Zeke when he's 6 inches a yard away from the goal line. They have no other offensive weapons except for Brandon Cooks. If CeeDee Lamb goes down, Cooks becomes basically a receiver 1 instantly. So I'm thinking we go Purdy and Cooks if we can do the turn here.
And the unsexy way thing to think about here, Joe, is that, I know you're saying, about the ADP, but if Zach Moss doesn't plan out, Chase Brown does, he's sitting there right for us to take him too.
You want to stack that?
I don't want to. But I'm just saying.
We can't anyway.
It's definitely one of those unique possibilities that could happen. Another guy that, we don't need to build him right now, but another guy to keep your eye on is, Tajay Spears.
Love Tajay.
We don't have.
Well, Pollard just went, so he's going to go soon. We
don't have a tight end yet either. So
but we're just going dusty at the end on tight end.
I mean, Cole Kmet is a good play. He ranks fairly high in a passing offense.
Yeah, but we can get him on the next turn.
High. So Brock Purdy's the play here, I think, for us.
For sure. I think Cooks is the other play.
I like Cooks. I do.
We're not going to get him back otherwise, and I love the potential that, first off, he spikes good himself, and he also, if CeeDee Lamb goes down,
all right,
you win.
I'm in. He is our 4th wide receiver. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And when you think about 4th wide receiver here, will he have a chance to pan out in the course of the season? Absolutely, 1,000%. Tajay Spears, we have 4 running backs right now. So for Tajay Spears to crack the lineup, he's going to have to put up a 15-point, 20-point effort. For Brandon Cooks to crack the lineup, he's going to have to put out a pretty good effort as well.
That's right.
And when we look at Cooks's fantasy production,
but that's the joy of having all spikes. We know we don't have consistency. So you put as many spikes together and you hope you can make a bed that's good enough to sleep on instead of just get stabbed. I mean, that's the difference between doing weekly winners and anything else.
And this is the thing about Brandon Cooks is that last year he had games where he had 1 point and then games where he had 23 points.
That's what we want.
And then he usually established pretty well to the norm of like 11, 12, somewhere in there. But again, you're looking at a guy that if you can get 20 points out of him, not very high in target share, not very high in routes run. But like you said, it's not sexy. It's not something to get excited about. But if CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, if something were to happen, he is now the number 1 target. And he has shown in the past, and this is the crazy thing, Joe, is that he is a player that can put up 1,200 yards.
That's right.
If targeted. He's done it before. Most recently, he's done 1,150 yards back in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's not far out of his realm of outcomes in order to get pretty high. He could return to a 3-touchdown, 6-touchdown, 2-touchdown kind of year. Absolutely. There goes Austin Eckler off the board.
Eckler's another guy we've targeted before. Not a guy that we love in regular, but Eckler in a 1-week showdown, he can give you a lot.
I think if available at this turn, again, Shakir went. I would have liked Shakir. I think he has really good potential. Going with 2 Buffalo wide receivers would be kind of crazy. But again, you look at it and you say to yourself, that's the best kind of value that's on the board when we talk about spike weeks. We're looking for a guy that, if it pans out, he plays pretty well. Now, this is a danger. If you're playing for the spike week, they're not all going to spike at the same time.
That's the thing. That's why Weekly Winners is hard.
They're not all going to spike at the same time. So do you want to put some floor guys in?
Nope.
Maybe not.
Go all spikes and hope that enough of them hit.
Depends on how risk averse you are. But again, you're playing.
Let me just put it this way: if you're risk adverse, you should not be playing Weekly Winners. Weekly Winners is made for the risk.
Again, you're playing for a week, and you're playing for 2 weeks. Then you're playing for 3 weeks. Then you're playing for 4 weeks.
Bob, I'd argue that should be the lineup of our next picks.
I don't know about that. I would also consider. I know he's a little.
How many rounds we got left?
Granted, all these guys we have.
So we're in the 11th 13, round right now.
15, 16, 17, 18. We have 6 rounds left. If on the board, check the ADP on this. Mike Williams.
I just did see Mike Williams. He's right here.
I think Mike Williams is a great.
Who do we have higher, Williams or Myers?
Myers is higher.
Want to do both?
Let's see how.
Although we're not going to get Komet if we do both.
Let's see how the draft shakes down. There goes Hawk. I think that Komet is going to get taken here soon. I think that he needs to be the pick.
Komet does need to be the pick. You're right.
If he gets taken, I mean, I'm okay if he gets taken as well, because it will allow us to take those 2 guys. And, with Jacoby Myers' situation is kind of unique, where he's the number 2 on a team that just drafted a pretty good tight end with uncertain quarterback situation. It's definitely.
But he doesn't have the injury risk of Williams.
It's definitely something to consider. He doesn't have the same injury risk as Williams. And when we're looking at where these players rank, Cole Kmet ranks higher than Mike Williams in our flex kind of play.
Yeah.
But we do want him as our starting tight end. Now, granted.
And then we just do volume at the tight end position. I'm fine with that.
I think that getting 2 wide receivers here could be definitely an elite option. I think that taking Brock Purdy early allows us to kind of not have to play this kind of Russian roulette with quarterbacks.
Sure does.
We will probably
we know the one we're doing at the end. Oh, there went Komet.
So there goes Komet. So I think Jacoby Myers and Mike Williams is the play.
And then they're going to be soft tight end rooms. That's fine. But we're going to do a lot of them. I mean, when you're sitting in this spot here, maybe we're able to pick up a running back we like, which, by the way, this would be the one if Zeke is still on the board, because he will fall in the end zone. I do like Zeke's potential there. But at the end of the day, we're just going to have to start playing the knowing that we're doing 5 tight ends on this roster. I mean, we're going to have to.
It's not going to be 5 tight ends.
I don't know, Bob. We don't have one right yet, and we can't have a great spike banked upon one, weak tight end. Essentially, we do need points out of them, and volume is the best way.
I definitely get that, and I think that we have some lined up with Jelani Woods, Isaiah Likely. I would definitely put Hunter Henry in the mix. A guy like Cade Otton, where I would like him in most best ball formats. I probably wouldn't rank him too high here.
We have to take Likely on this turn.
Unfortunately, Taysom Hill is a quarterback in this setting, I believe.
He is.
He would definitely be an option because he projects to spike out at like 30 points. But like we said, we were definitely targeting Cole Kmet there. We do like J.K. Dobbins, but we feel pretty comfortable with our running back room so far.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't have had to have him. And taking a higher.
Where do we have Henry at on spikes for tight ends?
In terms of spikes for tight ends, Hunter Henry ranks as our 17th.
Oh, that's not great.
Behind Jelani Woods and Likely as well.
So who's the best tight end left on the board?
The best tight end left on the board, on our board.
Yeah.
And Woods.
All right, so that they have to be the picks.
They definitely try.
Although we probably get Woods later. So we'll go Likely and Henry.
Woods can be had later, definitely.
Yeah. Unless you want to look at a Devontae Furman or a Kyle Herbert. Or Khalil Herbert.
Khalil Herbert. I'm not super interested in Khalil Herbert.
I think there's a chance Devontae Foreman ends up being the starter in Cleveland.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't
think Chubb's coming back, dude.
I don't think the Chubb's coming back at a high rate either. But it's definitely something to keep your eye on. But the thing about Khalil Herbert and Foreman is that we can get them round later.
Yeah, we also can get an equivalent there of another place, anyways.
So if we kind of just sort this all out and that's the other thing too, when we're watching ADPs and we're looking at, who we can get in the room as well as who can we get.
See, me and you look at this differently. You're looking at each pick. I look at it if we have 156.
Look at how Justin Fields climbed up that board.
Justin Fields is not the starter in Pittsburgh.
What I look at it as,
he is not going to be the starter in Pittsburgh.
Joe, what I look at it as is that there goes Likely. That we inform our decisions, using the draft that we're in, platforms ADP with ours.
Well, yeah, and that's how we've been doing it the whole time.
You got to take that into consideration as well.
So we basically have to take Henry here.
We do have to take Henry. He can.
That Likely pick hurts.
He can put together a tight end 1 week in an off week. Definitely something to keep your eye on. I think also. One thing that we need to be aware of is a guy like Tyler Conklin as well. A little bit later, if Aaron Rodgers plays his full season, he could be pretty good.
Conklin went. He went at the turn on the last
Conklin
time.
Went. It's right there. The proof is in the pudding. There.
Yeah.
Like I said, it would have been really nice. When you took Cooks, that pick should have been Kmet because it felt like he wasn't going to come back to us the way.
See, I don't think Kmet's going to be that good. I know what our numbers say, but I just don't. I might end up being wrong on that. I think Isaiah Likely, when it's all said and done, is going to give me better peak weeks than Kmet.
So this one's Hunter Henry.
Yeah, because Henry, at least we know, is especially unless they do that trade for Ayuk. But if they don't get Ayuk on that team, Hunter Henry is the number one on that team. If they do that
trade for Ayuk, it's going to be peaches for us then. And then who do you want to go with?
I guess Kate. And who's our best tight? Who's the next one we have? It's Kate Otten, right? Maybe Gesicki?
Yeah, Kate Otten. Or it's Jelani Woods, actually. But
aside from him.
I'm not sold on Kate Otten.
Well, give me one you are sold on because you got 12 seconds.
You can definitely pick him. But you can also go with something else. But Kate Otten, this is the ADP for him.
Yeah, we need to get tight ends on this team. We just need to start absorbing them.
Okay, so go back to all players here because we do need to pick up another running back. And one of the running backs that I think
that's my dude.
And we need another wide receiver, I think, too.
So we have 6 receivers, 4 running backs.
We definitely need one more wide receiver.
That's my dude.
I think you're selling him a little bit too high.
I know I am. Everyone hates him except for me.
No, a lot of people like him, but he's definitely something that.
Kendrick Miller is the running back I'm talking about, by the way.
Because Tyler Algier already went. Vidal has some question marks around him. Kendrick Miller definitely has some question marks.
So does Swift, though, man. We know Swift gets hurt. Khalil Herbert loves stealing touchdowns. He's done for us our whole lives.
And we're not sure what Roschon Johnson is going to do there as well. So there's a lot of uncertainty here, and I'm really glad that we took the running backs that we did.
Yeah,
we did, because we're not
this
really
is dirty.
We're not really worried about it, and we're finding value at some other positions. While Hunter Henry and Kate Otten aren't the sexiest positions,
no,
the thing that we need to think about when it comes to these players is that are you capable of putting together a tight end 1 week? Are you capable of?
Can Juwan Johnson do that?
Juwan Johnson can definitely do that, but he's not playing right now. He's hurt. He got foot surgery.
That's right.
So it doesn't really help us.
It doesn't.
Jelani Woods definitely helps us, and we're going to take him on the turn.
Jelani Woods, we're definitely there. If we can get Woods and Miller on the turn, I would love it.
We're definitely taking Jelani Woods on the turn.
So we haven't really ever talked about Colby Parkinson, have we?
I don't want to talk about Colby Parkinson.
I think he's going to end up being possibly the third highest targeted player on that team. I think he is 100% jumped Higbee. And yeah, there's good receivers in the Rams. I'm not fighting that, but when they are humming, they do use their tight end a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I didn't really like Cade Otton. I like him for regular because he's a red zone target, but I think a guy like Jonnu Smith or a guy like you said, like Colby Parkinson a little bit later, can definitely project well. Ricky Pearsall would have been a good pick there too, knowing that they're probably going to trade Ayuk. He kind of skated by us.
See, I don't think Pearsall's going to do anything.
Well, I mean, again, to your same conjecture that if Cooks,
it'd be an insurance on Debo. It'd be an Debo insurance. That's right.
Ricky Pearsall is going to get targets.
There's value in that.
We would have already had Brock Purdy as well.
We don't have a rate. Plus, it would have been another Niners stack.
Yeah, so that would have been a good play.
That would have been a good play. We missed the ball on that one
because you really wanted all these tight ends.
Well, I feel we have to. I feel like we've done a lot of good stacks here.
I don't think we need to because there's still a couple of tight ends still on the board, and we already have 2.
I think we need to end with at least 4. Is what I'm saying.
I don't think so. I really don't. There goes Khalil Herbert. That's why that Cade Otton pick is a rush of a pick and not really a super good one, considering that all of those players that went after, like Pearsall and Herbert and Ray Davis.
Oh, we're taking Ray Davis.
Only need one injury to kind of get into the mode. Cade Otton could put together a good year. I think I'm in on him in most sectors. Again, his best week was 23 points.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really decent spike
for a tight end. Hell yeah,
very touchdown dependent, but that's what we're looking for right now. We're looking for a tight end that will score 40 points, 6 targets, touchdowns.
Yep.
Right.
And this is going to be Kendre Miller and Jelani Woods, right?
I think that's the move. I don't really like Kendre Miller. He's very low on our rankings, but in terms of
where's Kamara?
Kamara's pretty low on the rankings too, but it's because of the Saints' offensive line is so bad.
No, that is true. Well, we could go Elijah Mitchell.
It's just very, very bad.
If we're doing backup running backs, I'm okay with Elijah Mitchell.
Sheesh.
He just.
He's right. I'm not about that life.
I'm just going. You get a little bit of a Niners stack.
Here we go. Get a little bit of a Baltimore stack. Take a player we're not really so much looking at, but a guy like Justice Hill or Keaton Mitchell here. Keaton Mitchell spiked well. I'm not looking at Rashad Bateman.
No, you're never looking at Bateman.
Don't you dare tag him. All right, take Woods here. Take Woods here.
Yeah, we still got 23 cents. I need to get Mitchell.
So that's Keaton Mitchell. Then we have Justice Hill as well. It could be definitely a 1-2 battle.
Type that in there. Why can't I spell Mitchell right?
Keaton Mitchell was right there.
All right.
Take Woods. He's definitely down on the list of running backs in terms of what they could do.
Where are you seeing Mitchell? I can't read this.
You had it.
It's right here. Got it.
Definitely a little bit lower down on the list.
Well, we're done at running back now with 5 of them.
Here's the thing. Say he's injured right at the beginning of the season, pup list. People are saying that Derrick Henry isn't going to handle the full load because he might get hurt. Well, Justice Hill is not capable of handling the full load. Keaton Mitchell could handle some of that load.
That's right.
While he doesn't project high.
And I also don't believe in the Justice Hill being a main guy thing. I just don't.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, he hasn't proven throughout the entirety of his career that he can.
So we have 3 picks left, Bob.
I think one of them is Daniel Jones.
Definitely.
If given the option. We should have went in Jones there, but it's okay if we didn't. And, here's the thing.
I don't see a lot of people lining up to get that. I also would take that.
Bo Nix is another candidate. There goes Daniel Jones right there, like I said. Daniel Jones had 30-point week last year. Last year by himself. Lots of
that little stack.
Lots of decent wide receiver candidates still out there in terms of possibilities. Just trying to find our boy here, Keaton Mitchell. So, like, Justice Hill did spike a 22-point week last year.
Well, that's projected. Oh, you're going off of last year.
Last year, did do it last year, and then Keaton Mitchell had a 20-point week.
Yeah.
So
nothing wrong with that pick.
If Derrick Henry were to go down, and here's the thing, when it gets into these lower parts of the draft, you never really know when somebody is going to spike your or
just take your guy. Yeah. Because at the end, it's all about just getting your guys.
And I can tell you for certain, 1,000%, nobody has this team.
Oh, no, nobody has this team.
Nobody has this team. And in a good way. Our first couple of picks were really good. We got hit really hard when we couldn't take Cole Kmet or Isaiah Likely.
Also, no, I think where we got hit really hard was not getting Kittle. Be totally honest.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Kittle was sniped right before us.
The Kate Otten pick, I don't really like. We rushed into it. Ricky Pearsall would have been a good play there, and then go with Greg Dulcich towards the end of the draft out of Denver.
Yeah.
That's another tight end that I really like. But again, Kate Otten can do it. He can do it. He's proven it that he can do it. We're sitting here. How many running backs do we have? We have 6.
5 running backs, 6 receivers.
6 receivers.
So I think we're done at running back.
Well, we do need
our quarterback.
And a wide receiver.
And I think that's the stack we should do right there.
I don't see value in that stack. I know that you do.
I just looking at it, the fact that there's only one quarterback that we know is starting week 1, and if he's not hurt, will play the whole year.
We have 2 quarterbacks that we don't need to really worry about.
Yeah, I like doing the stack.
Yeah, I understand that, but we need to take a big, explosive potential player as a stack.
All right, of the quarterbacks left, of Carr, Wilson.
Now, my question to you is, how do they score Taysom Hill?
I mean, they have him ranked as a tight end.
They have him ranked
or they have ranked as a quarterback. He's a quarterback then.
But does he get tight end numbers whenever that throws it out there?
He's a quarterback. He's a quarterback. He just gets credit for catches and stuff. He's never going to outscore the other quarterbacks.
He's never going to outscore the other quarterbacks.
It's true.
It's true. But
so he's useless.
Russell Wilson isn't going to either.
That's probably true.
That is 1,000% true.
Minshew might.
Minshew.
And did we end up getting Myers?
Who? Jacoby? Yeah, we got Jacoby.
All right, well, let's just do Minshew. Call it a day.
If he plays, again.
We're not taking both of them, and Minshew's going to be the starter.
We've been talking about Bo Nix. We don't really have any Bo Nix. That would have been a Bo Nix, Greg Dulcich stack here, which would have been kind of nice. I mean, it's Taylor's choice there when it comes to these last rounds, and I know we always argue about it, always fight about it in terms of
Well, see, I like it because it's a stack. If we didn't have Myers, I wouldn't go Minshew, but we do. So, quite frankly, wait, this is the 18th pick. There's only 2 left.
No, this is our last 2 picks.
So, we're going Jonnu Smith and Minshew.
Well, that would be 4 tight ends. That would be kind of ridiculous.
I think we need 4 tight ends.
We only have 6 wide receivers.
We only need to play 3 of them.
But we need another one because they do have a little bit of an injury concern. So we need to take the highest upside wide receiver that is still left in the room. Which might be Corley. We already have Mike Williams, but, Well, that's an insurance on it. Wait, is Rodgers still left? No. All right. Rodgers was taken in the 14th round. That makes sense. We'll see. There goes Roman Wilson. We usually try to take a guy like Noah Brown somewhere in here. Oh, I love Noah Brown. Yeah, that's the pick. Is definitely high in our rankings. Yeah, Noah Brown's the pick. That's end of thinking there. And then which tight end do you want? Parsons or John? Quarterback, you said. Do we need to worry about quarterback with Lamar and Brock? I don't think so. We have a high floor guy in Lamar. I'm okay with taking Noah Brown and Jonnu Smith. Yeah, okay, let's do that then. Oh, we're on the clock. Yeah, we're on the clock. And say Noah Brown doesn't play, right? You say, say Jonnu Smith doesn't play. We got a healthy hunk of that Miami offense. And again, they're the spikiest kind of. Yeah, they are. That's what you want when you're talking about looking at this. Like, boom! All right, let's dive into it. So it's definitely one of the teams that Jawan Jennings is another player there with the Ayuk potential trade could have a definite upswing in the fallout there. Yeah. But when we're doing these weekly winners, I'd way rather have Noah Brown. When we're doing these weekly winners, we understand that certain players profile better than other players. And
That's right.
And while our wide receiver room doesn't look strong,
it looks young
on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a team that if you profile their wide receivers historically, all of them have had wide receiver 1 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers, Keenan Allen has had a wide receiver 1 week. Mike Williams has had a wide receiver 1 week in LA. Keon Coleman, Stephon Diggs had a wide receiver 5.
Oh, sure.
Jacoby Myers had a wide receiver finish in the top 5-4 of players as well. We definitely took some risks here. Taking the risks is part of
the weekly winners. It's the game.
Winners. And, kind of diabolically, what Underdog does is that it puts out your average at the end here. So whenever this ends, we'll pull up the average. And the average in this is not really the best blessing.
Yeah, so our average is 165.8, which would not win anything.
Right.
But you look at the roster. Lamar and Purdy, we both have peaking as top 5 in quarterbacks. A-Chain is our number 2 peak overall. Mostert's an insurance policy on him. ETN is another high floor guy. Moss in Cincinnati has the possibility of giving you the Mixon 5 touchdown game. And Keenan Mitchell is just knowing inevitably Baltimore running backs get hurt. That's what they do. When we look at our receiver room, Debo's a stud. We have him as a top 5 spike. McConkey we have as a top 5 spike. Just to show you the whole thing here.
Can I see that?
Yeah. So to show the whole thing here, yeah, it said 165 is our average. That's not sexy. Lamar, very sexy on spike weeks.
Again, this is weekly winners. So,
and the other thing that I love that we did, Bob, we really stacked our bye weeks. Over 4 of our players are all on 2 bye weeks. Mm-hmm. So we only took ourselves out of contention really out of 2 weeks. Maybe 3 if you argue to 3.
2 weeks out of 18.
Which is perfect.
Right. So and you look at these wide receivers in this wide receiver room here, there's a lot of elder statesmen and younger players. But when you go back, and you can do this yourself too. You can do this exercise, go on Fantasy Pros, look at their list, aggregate all the totals and spit it out. All of these guys have the framework in place to be 20+ point getters in a game. Now, the question is, will they all, if they all do it the same game, we win. We win.
Yeah.
We put out a really good team that could do it in the same game. Now, there's risks to Jacoby.
Now, unless one of you guys watching us copies this lineup, there will be no other lineup like this. We know that.
Typically, there won't be. Now, in the tight end room, here's the crazy thing here. When you look at this tight end room, it's gross looking.
It's so gross.
But I kind of want to just bring this.
So gross, man.
I want to bring this to your attention because, like I said, I think the K. Otten pick was a little bit early. But
we took him at 8, or we did. We took him around before ADP.
But outside of Jelani Woods, who was injured last year, who projects to be pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cade Otton, I believe, had a top 3 tight end finish last year. Hunter Henry, in the first couple of weeks of the season when tight ends were going bad, had a top 1 finish, top 3 finish. And Jonnu Smith.
And this is per individual week, not the final season.
Yeah, I'm just saying over, in a given week. And then you go with a guy like Jonnu Smith, and, you see guys like Durham Smythe, who not really like a target on the team, but Jonnu Smith is a much
better player. There's no other way of saying he's a better NFL player.
To them. So Jonnu Smith last year on Miami this year spiked a week of 18 points. And when you look at the history of the tight end position, and we'll just go into this week that is tight end.
It's all about getting a spike, man.
In that week, Joe, where Jonnu Smith spiked 18 points, the best tight end was at 24 points.
Yeah. So that's right there in contention.
That's a position that historically speaking isn't. Its spike is in the 20s, or you might spike in Evan Ingram like in the 30s number somewhere along the line. But typically speaking, that tight end only spikes up into the 20s. And all 4 of those guys have the capability to spike a 20. So if we end up with the tight end 1, quarterback 1, running back 1, wide receiver 1, we have a pretty good chance to compete on a week-to-week basis.
And you know that you go, okay, A-Chain, we've seen him spike. Lamar, he's a walking spike. And then this receiving core with Debo, he does it all the time. It's like this is not an unrealistic thing. And then the fact that we also stack Debo with Purdy in the off week that Lamar is. If Lamar goes down, we have steady and Purdy. I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Now, typically we wouldn't take 4 tight ends. We would typically take 3.
No, typically we would have gotten a good. Like, the ideal scenario was to get Kittle, and we just missed out on Kittle. Literally, 3 picks before us, and we ended up taking Robert Mostert instead.
Raheem Mostert. I think Kittle went a little bit earlier.
Yeah, they reached on Kittle. That's just the way it is.
Taking him on the. Yeah, he went 4 picks before us.
Yeah.
And we would have taken Kittle, and we most likely would have taken Kittle and McConkey in that scenario, and Raheem Mostert wouldn't have been on our team. And then where we took one of those tight ends, we would have searched, or when we took one of those wide receivers, we probably wouldn't have taken Mike Williams. We probably would have split hairs and taken another running back somewhere along the line. But
I like this team, though.
As it is, you look at these other lineups. If you could pull up this board for everybody to see here, Joe. If you take a look at all of these lineups, you look and you see to yourself, hey, which one of these teams is a unique build kind of team? Well, Amon Ra, Kyron, Josh, Michael Pittman usually can be built from that top 4 type of team. I see that team very often. I see Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Sam Laporta a lot as the top 3 targets. Brandon Ayuk in the 4th round, we haven't seen that a lot, so that's going to be a little bit different, a little bit of a unique team stack there. Over here, Tua, I never see go in the 5th round, but Tua is definitely
don't see Kamara go in the 4th.
This is a weaker team, but it has Christian McCaffrey. So Christian McCaffrey is always a nice team to get by. Mm-hmm. Nico doesn't usually go in the 3rd round, but a Nico, Waddle, Tyreek, Dell, that is an interesting
build. And stacked it with Stroud.
Stacked it with Stroud and Dak instead of Tua because they saw that build there. But taking a look at that, one of those guys is going to spike on a given week. But looking at his running backs here, scrolling down on the running backs,
his first running back's Rico Dowdle
and Jalen Wright.
Ain't winning.
Jalen Wright could definitely take a role from Devin A-Chain if A-Chain were to get hurt. But look at all the running backs that he went really low in running backs. If they hit, though.
But they're not going to hit till the end of the year.
If they hit,
that's the problem with taking that strategy.
Again, if they hit at the end of the year.
But he threw away the first 6 weeks of potential having a chance of winning money. And that's the joy of our lineup. Every single week from week 1 to week 18, it can hit. There is, now granted, you could say you guys made this whole argument about how Cooks could be the greatest thing ever. Lang gets hurt. Cooks still has standalone value.
Yeah, he definitely still has standalone value.
You look at this and go, you know what? I love this lineup. This is how you ultimately win the weekly winners. You only care about spikes. At least 2/3 of these players were never in contention for us to be drafted ever. And we just, this is what you love it. When you get someone who would never be good, gets picked up by someone else, they get weaker as you get stronger. That's the nature of the draft. You're going to have some people saying that we made some reaches or whatever, and you might, but the end result is
we did.
It's a great lineup.
We did make reaches.
No, we made reaches for different formats.
Right.
We did not make reaches for weekly winners. This is not how we build a team for a survival. This is certainly not how you build a team for redraft or for a traditional best ball, but this is how you build a team for weekly winners, and you need to know the difference of your format going in here because, quite frankly, drafting Scary Terry and Aaron Jones is just wasting $10. I mean, there's no other way around it. So we appreciate everyone for watching, team players. We're going to be with you again here next week. We're either going to do a survival or another weekly winners. We'll figure that out then. Let us know which you prefer. And in the meantime, keep us watching with those team updates. We're giving you the betting and fantasy updates for each. Click subscribe. We'll see you next Tuesday.